Recently, our client Tommy met his banker to discuss continuing his father's restaurant legacy. In us, he found a partner that understood the importance of passing the torch. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Tommy.
This podcast is sponsored by Jabra Enhance.
How are your hearing aids sounding now?
A little tinny.
Okay, 2 seconds.
With Jabra Enhance Select's premium package, better hearing doesn't happen in a doctor's office. It happens at home, all done remotely from initial testing to adjustments.
How are they sounding now?
Fantastic.
You get the same advanced hearing aid technology and professional support you expect from a clinic at a fraction of the cost. And if you have any issues, we'll make adjustments 7 days a week, no charge.
Oh, you people are wonderful.
Our premium package includes hearing aids, 3 years of follow-up care, plus a 3-year warranty with loss and damage coverage, and a 100-day money-back guarantee.
I hear better than I ever thought possible.
And now, for a limited time, save $100 when you order Jabra Enhance Select Hearing Aids with promo code PODCAST. Go to JABRAenhance.com, enter promo code PODCAST to save. JabraEnhance.com, code PODCAST.
For eligible individuals 18 and older in 50 United States and Washington, D.C. with mild to moderate hearing loss only. Audiology team may not be able to program hearing aids for some types of hearing loss. See website for details and important safety information.
Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond is a podcast that gives everyone and anyone a place to come and keep it real about their cancer experience. Welcome to Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond. I'm back with Chris.
Hey Carrie, how are you?
What's cracking, kid?
Not much, just living the life up in Washington State where it's cold.
Are you freezing? I'm freezing here in SoCal, so I know you're freezing.
Yeah, you guys got a bomb cyclone or whatever they called it?
You know what? You better keep it tight, kid. Listen, I know you're just a little salty after that beating my Niners gave your Seahawks.
I was happy with the halftime score. That's all I'll say.
Okay. All right.
Good luck.
Well, listen, thank you. So to our listeners, it's been a while. We really don't have a schedule right now. We're kind of winging it and trying to find that life-work balance. And we both have full-time jobs and other endeavors. And so I'm not going to commit to a regular schedule right now. We're going to record when we can, and we'll put it out when we can.
Yep.
But a while back, we started, another one of my big bright ideas was a series about the power of social media, the CARE project, through the power of social media. But then I figured this isn't really a series. It's kind of my life, right, Chris? Like 24/7. This is my life. Everything I do is because of the power of social media.
Yeah. And what you can't see right now is that's her desk. That's the studio. That's like everything that she's at is all on this big desk, and she lives there.
Pretty much. Yeah. But to my right is my work job. To the left is the CARE project. Right here is the podcast. And up there is a couple screens that he mounted for me to watch football.
That's right.
I got it all right here. But I have another incredible individual from another incredible organization that so aligns with everything that the CARE project and my other business, Care and Beyond Consulting, stands for. So I have with us Kevin Crowe, the founder of Give a Mile. Now, let me say this right now, giveamile.org before I forget. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. I know I've been lagging on getting us scheduled, but thank you for making it on a football.
It's great to be here, Carrie. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the time to have a great conversation.
Absolutely. So tell us about Give a Mile. When did you start it?
Yeah. Give a Mile is actually going into its 10th year. And so what Give a Mile does is we have people donate their unused travel miles, and we give flights to people who are at end of life to be with their loved one, right? So you give 1,000 miles and I give 1,000 miles, and we get mothers, brothers, fathers, sisters, sons, daughters on that plane to have that last visit, to have time with their loved one. We have done 934 flights across that 10 years. We've done it with 34 million donated travel miles. It's a 100% donation model, so all the miles you donate are going to get to a family. And it's hard to put into words what this work means and what it means for the families that we've connected to.
How does that work? like how you obviously you were savvy with flying and you knew how miles work, and sometimes you lose them or whatnot.
No, I wasn't.
Well, I'm saying, how did you grow this bank of people that have points that are willing to donate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chris, I'll go back to the beginning. I lost an incredible friend to brain cancer. And in the last year of his life, we were both at the same place, young kids, recently married, careers going well. And unfortunately, he was diagnosed with brain cancer that was, just super aggressive. And so he's like, Kev, I got my family, I got my friends, but I need someone to be there with me, beside me through this journey. And we kind of knew how it was going to go. And, scared the hell out of me to be that person, but I said yes. And I'm so glad I did, because it was an incredibly heart-growing, heartbreaking journey that I learned so much, and I had so much wisdom on it. And he was a very transparent guy. I look back, and the older I get, the more courage I realize he had to face death like that. And, not every day was a good day, but he would put on the table kind of what he was feeling and what he was going through. And, he just really grasped the moment to kind of own it. And, he'd do things like, why wait for a funeral? Let's fly everybody in now. Let's have a big party. Let's celebrate my life now. Right. And it was an incredible evening. Right. And he's the kind of guy that he had friends since he was in kindergarten. Right. We brought in his university roommates. We had this room just full of love and storytelling. And it was an incredible moment. And I also, he ended up in hospice, and there was this really powerful moments. I remember just before he went to hospice, he said, obviously, things are deteriorating. This is where I'm at. And I was like, Ryan, whatever you want, we're going to make happen. And we had a great group of people around us. Like, if you want to go down to Disney World, or he was a golfer, right? Like, what's a golf course you want, to go golf? And he said, Kev, none of that matters. The only thing I want now is time with my friends and my family. His son was 4 at the time. And to kind of have that realization that the most powerful moments are in these small things, right? And to see him watching Jungle Book and his son crawl in his lap, and they're playing like Connect Four, and he had this huge smile on his face, and he looked over and at me and kind of gave me a wink and a big smile, right? Like, this is what it's about. This is what I want.
That is incredible. I just want to stop you for 1 second, because that is what I say all the time. There was a time that I had a near-death experience being septic, and I was in the hospital. And when I was laying there, Kevin, I wasn't thinking about the size of my house. I wasn't thinking about the trips I hadn't taken. I was thinking about all those simple memories and those who was there, right? And it's exactly, this is why this touches me so much. And you said he had a 4-year-old?
Yeah, his son was 4
I
at the
saw
time.
Chris wince. I saw Chris wince when you said that. As a dad, that's
absolutely right.
My youngest turns 12 on Friday, so
yeah, like, it's incredible. And that, he also gave me those wisdoms. I'm Canadian, so it's hockey with our kids, right? And I was saying, I'd taken my son to hockey, and he was like, just remember, I'm not going to see those hockey practices. I'm not going to see those hockey games. You get to everyone you can, right? And this is the wisdom he was giving me through this journey. And I remember, when he ended up in hospice, the hospice doctor came to us, and this is right near the end, and she said, I can cut the meds back so that you can have a conversation, because obviously he was unconscious, through a lot of the pain meds and stuff. And his wife and I were both there, and we were able to say, like, you don't need to do that. Like, we have said everything we need to say, right? And we were just in such a good spot. And I live in a city called Calgary. 1 in 4 people are born here. I was raised just outside Niagara Falls. And so when we were in that hospice, we just saw all these people that were trying to say goodbye, whether it was on the phone, or you'd hear the conversations in the family room, right? Like, dad understands that you can't afford to fly in here, and we're financially exhausted, going through this battle. And when Ryan passed away, I knew I wanted to do something in his memory, but I knew, to me, it needed to be unique, right? He was a unique guy. He was a powerful, motivating guy. So how do you do something unique? And I heard this crazy stat that there's literally, in all of North America, between Canada and the US, there's literally, probably hundreds of billions of travel miles that we all are sitting on in our wallets, right? If you look at the world, it might even be in the trillions. And I'm thinking, well, why don't we just have all of us donate these small amounts of these travel miles, and we can give this most powerful gift, the most meaningful gift to someone, that gift of time, that gift of that final visit. And, Chris, back to your question, I just put that out there. And every time I put that out there, people just kind of gravitated towards it. And they're like, that totally makes sense. Why aren't we doing that? How do I help you? Right. And I didn't know anything about how airlines and loyalty miles work, or the programs, or, I had to educate myself, and went on this journey. But, United in the US and Air Canada here in Canada have been incredible partners. And, they saw us on social media talking about it and trying to make flights happen. They got on board partnering. And, from there, other volunteers came in, and we've had people, on our boards and on our team that have been part of the loyalty programs. And, we obviously work with hospice, et cetera. And so it's just like, to me, the universe has kind of responded as we put this idea out. And I always say, I was a guy with an idea. And there's lots of ideas out there. It's, how do they get executed? How do they get taken care of? And I put an idea out there, and this incredible community has rallied around it for sure.
This is exactly why. Do you see, Chris, why I was like, I have to have him on the show? I mean, this is how the Care Project started, right? So I was going through my own treatment, and I was listening to people in the infusion center get their chemo, talking about how are they going to have to miss the next one because they had to come up with another $100 copay, but they needed to pay for their kids' football cleats or get them groceries. And that's when I just said, oh my gosh, there's something I have to do. And it's just born out of necessity, and we all hear things. What do you suppose drives people like us to actually take action?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's a couple things I'd say there. To me, I feel like these things either make you or break you, right? And you kind of have to make a decision, right? And I didn't start Give a Mile till 3 years after Ryan passed away. So I don't want people to think, a couple of weeks later, I was like, inspired, and I went out there and made this happen. There was a lot of soul searching, and you can only lie in bed and cry to yourself so long, I feel, right? And close the curtains. Like, you got to get out there and live again. And one of the things, I would say as a formation of my philosophy through this is, I hear this thing that people say, everything happens for a reason. And I really struggle with that, because I give flights to people that are, their children are dying from cancer, and you just see these things. But I believe you can find reason in everything, right? Like, you can find purpose in what life has brought you. And then when you feel like you've taken control, or you maybe have some semblance of power over what has happened to you in life. And I just feel, in a lot of ways, it just feels almost like a destiny. Like, I can't deny it. That it's just calling you. And whenever I feel like, obviously, and Carrie, you know this through your work, there's days where you're just like, am I making a difference? Like, does anybody care? Like, does this really matter? And whenever I've had those moments, something big and inspirational will happen, right? And I'll be like, oh no, that's right. This is what you're exactly supposed to do. And you need to be making more of this happen for sure. So,
yeah. I think what you said about, there's like, you can't deny it, right? You just know, there's a calling, if you will. And I know a lot of people are weirded out by that word, but it is what it is. I get the, no, I'm not going to, no, who am I? I can't do that. I can't do one more thing. I've told Chris that, I don't know how many times. I can't do one more thing. And then the next thing I know is, I do need to be a death doula. Because I'm already working with, I knew I had to do it, and I fought it for a year until I finally got my training. And that's how I ended up following hospice nurse Julie, who just texted me right now. That's why I was looking at my phone. I said, guess who I have on? So she said to tell you hi.
Oh, that's awesome, man. She's been extremely helpful for us and has made so many flights happen through her social media outreach. She's incredible. We did our campaign at Christmas. We want to do 50 flights out the door for Christmas, right? Call it, through the holiday season. And we ended up doing 55. And I think Nurse Julie, through her promoting on our channel, 26 of those people came through her references. So the power of social media, the power of making this community happen, right? I know there's obviously, a lot of narrative around social media and, the negatives of it and maybe what it's doing to our society. But to me, these are the great examples of what social media can do on the good side.
Absolutely. And I hope that you will allow me to put your website on both the Care Project resource page as well as carriemadrid.com, which is my consulting business that does the doula work.
Yeah, so, 100%. And, the community.
Chris, take note.
Yes, 100%. And the community you work with, one of the things we want to let them know is we're here if they need flights, right? Like, reach out to us. You can go to the website, or you can email us at info@giveamile.org. That's info@giveamile.org. And we'll walk you through the process. We try to keep it very simple and straightforward on the application process. It's really a 2-page process. Yes, we do require medical verification from a social worker, nurse, hospice doctor, but we try to keep it very simple. And then we take it to our flight review team, and they review it. And if approved, we put you to our flight booking person who will book the flight and send the tickets to you. We understand time is of the essence, so we can do that very quickly if it's an emergency. We
That's
have
awesome.
gotten people out the next day for flights, and we will do our best because we understand the situations that are going on here. So,
And let me ask you this, as a nonprofit founder,
yeah.
a lot of times donors really press you about who you're helping and where. Like,
Mhm.
let it be local, right?
Yeah.
So I know that you are a registered nonprofit in both Canada and the US,
Yeah.
and it says you provide flights worldwide.
Yeah.
When did you know you wanted to do worldwide, and why?
Yeah, for sure. So, a couple things I would say. When we say worldwide, we mean somebody either flying into Canada, US, or someone's flying
Mhm.
from Canada, US globally, right? And I think we've been
Mhm.
to 120 countries.
Wow.
So the story for me, right? It like when we were building Give a Mile, like I said, it was very grassroots, and we're just kind of trying to figure it out. And I think within the first maybe 10 or 15 flights, I got connected to a social worker who said, Kev, there's a man, his name's Pedro. He came to Canada, he's going to work here and then bring his family. But unfortunately got stomach cancer, stage 4. He can't work anymore. Therefore, he can't sponsor his family into Canada. He just wants to bring his daughter and his wife. He wants to see them one more time. And we're like, oh, we never thought of international flights. Like, should we be doing this? And so we went back and talked to the team. And we said, absolutely. As long as we have resources, there's no reason why we shouldn't do this. International flights obviously take a lot more miles, but if we can have the donor base behind us and we can make those flights happen, let's do it. And I can't tell you how powerful that flight was. Pedro actually said, Kev, come to the airport. He was flying his family into the city I live in. So he's like, come to the airport and you got to meet my daughter and my wife when they land here. And I saw them get off the plane and I saw him hug his daughter, I think who was 7 at the time. And Pedro and I just had this incredible conversation. He said it was so important for him to have his daughter come see him because he felt like she might interpret that he abandoned her, right? He went to Canada and then she never saw him again. And he wanted to say, look at what I did. I left here to build this life for you, to bring you to this amazing country. And this is what I was trying to do for you. And just how much that meant to him for closure and for healing through that. And so through that powerful experience, we're like, yeah, we got to do international flights. We got to make this happen. So we do as many as we can. And I think of the 935-ish flights we've sent out the door, somewhere around 200 have been either, someone flying into North America or someone flying from North America to see a family member.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, you said you working with United and Air Canada and they've been your partners and stuff.
Yeah.
What was their first reaction to you doing this? I can imagine. I don't know. Nobody's ever thought of it. I never thought of it when I saw your website. I was like, this is so genius. Every airline should be doing this with their people.
Yeah.
What was their first reaction to when you went to approach them?
Yeah, it's kind of like what you're saying, the first one was Air Canada, right? Trying to bring them on. And we were like, I was trying to figure it out. So I was just like, everybody, put your miles into my own account. And if you think of how miles work, there's a transfer fee, right? So if you like, Chris, if you send me your miles and we're going to have to pay 60 or $80 or something like that. And I said, look, I'll just pay the fee myself because I just want to see if this could work and if we can get it going. Smart. And we were doing that on social media. And then Air Canada was like, reach out to us right now, right? We want to talk to you. And so they said, look, this is exactly the kind of social good we want to make happen with our loyalty program. The fact, that we can use miles for this, but the fact that also the importance of travel, right? Like it just fits so well. And I said that there's not many times you get such a beautiful win-win-win in life, right? So obviously a win for the families, they get that time, that visit. A win for the Travel Mile brand, right? The fact that, look at how powerful this is, the connection, the time, the fact that we can use our miles. And then I think a win for us that collect miles, right? Like the fact that, a lot of people are sitting on a lot of miles and, we have business travelers that travel all over the place and like, hey, I'm not going to use all these miles. I'll give you some. We got other people that are like, hey, I don't use enough miles. I'm never going to have enough miles for a flight. So I'm going to give you some. And they make this powerful, powerful gift happen. So we've just been like the stars have aligned to have such a perfect win-win-win. And United and Air Canada have totally been behind that. They're just like, we love what's going on here. I think, Carrie, the other thing, just circle back on something you said, donors want to see the impact, right? They want to understand who they're helping. And that's another thing about this model is you're going to absolutely know the flights that are going out the door. We share the flight stories. We have a program called Flight Hero where, yourself or your team at work or, your workplace can take on raising enough miles for a flight. Just kind of rally through your network. We give you a Flight Hero coach. They'll give you messages you can post on social media and methodology to raise the miles. And then when you have the miles raised, we show you the specific flight you helped, right? So here's family X that the flight went out the door, and you understand exactly the impact that you made happen. So that's been a real powerful part of the model. I know some people, obviously they're doing social good, but it's maybe a little harder to understand the impact, whether that's, environmental stuff or, maybe bigger community stuff. Right now, specifically the families and the people you're helping through this model.
There must be so many stories that I had written down. Like, give me an example of one impact story that you'll never forget. Here's the thing, like with the CARE project, there's been so many people that have come through the doors that we've helped and supported in some way, shape, or form. And to be honest, it's been 8 years now. And sometimes I see that person one time and maybe we just kept their lights on for the month, or we helped them make rent.
Yeah.
And I forget. I have chemo brain. I forget. But then there's some stories I might only see that person once or twice and I've never forgotten it.
Yeah.
What type of stories really stick with you?
Yeah, I'll tell you one. It's a little long, so stick with me, but it'll talk to a lot of things we were just talking through. So, I got a call because we work with the social workers at hospices and stuff, and they know about the program. So social worker reaches out and she goes, "Hey, Kev, I got a woman. They've stopped treatment, stage 4 cancer. She's originally from the Philippines. Once again, this is a story from my city. And she's selling her furniture because she needs to get back to the Philippines because she wants to see her parents to explain the situation. Can you help her?" And I was like, "I'll see what we do." So we reached into the donors, we got the miles for the flight, and I actually physically delivered the ticket to her because she had sold her computer. She didn't have email. So I went to see her and, showed up the door, and she gave this most amazing hug, just held on to me. It felt like 3-4 minutes, right? But just full of love. And she was crying and I was crying. And she was just like, "You don't know what this means to me, how important this is to me. I got to go back to the Philippines, but not just Manila. I got to get up and, take a train ride and get up to see my family and really get them to understand what's going on. Cause I think they just don't understand. And also to have that final visit." And she goes, "I don't know if I'll have the strength to make it back, but, I am determined to get there." And I was like, "Well, here's your ticket. We're so glad we could help you." And she was able to make it there and she made it home. And I think it was 2 or 3 weeks after she made it back, she passed away. And the social worker reached out to me and she said, "Hey, Kev, do you want to go to the funeral?" And I don't normally do that. I think I've done it twice. But she had touched me so much. I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go to the funeral." And so, got the address and the directions and went to the funeral that day, arrived a little early. And remember, she's Filipino. So I'm sitting in the funeral home. I'm the only white person. So this person comes up to me and they're like, "Are you at the right funeral?" And I said, "Yeah." And I explained who I was. And their eyes just got huge. And they're like, "You have to meet the family.
Yeah.
Like, you have to come meet the family." And so I met the family and they were just so appreciative. And there was so much gratitude. And they're just big hugs. And it was an incredible experience. And then I went back and sat down for the funeral. And the funeral ceremony was going on. And they had actually Skyped her family in from the Philippines, right? So they're on video. And they don't know I'm there. And the family is talking about how much it meant for the visit, how incredible it was to see her again, and all the nephews and nieces. And, it was a celebration and a time to heal. And it just was so important to them. And then somebody stood up and said, "The person that gave the flight is here today." And so, just, you can imagine the love in that room. Just everybody turned around and just, I believe there was a round of applause. And just, that was one of those moments, kind of go back to the earlier conversation, if you're like, "Yes, this is what I have to do. I am on the track. I need to make more of this happen." And so it's always stuck with me, right? It was, the sky will never open up, but it was as close as it will come, I think, for saying you are on the right track here for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just about, sometimes what I do at the CARE Project as a tiny little nonprofit is simply connecting people with resources, or connecting people with other people, or sharing somebody's story that gets to somebody else, And that's the power of social media. It really is. And I'm with you. There's there are days where I say, man, if I didn't have the Care Project and all that I do, I would not be on social media just because I get tired. I get tired like everybody.
Yeah.
But now what I do is I log on, I respond to the things I need to respond to, and I get off for my own sanity. But it has been incredible to learn about organizations like yours. Again, it's giveamile.org. As a donor, one question I had was, I know like my American Express, I acquire points. And then if I want, I can use my points to book travel. Those aren't transferable, are they?
Yeah, there's a couple things because this world kind of gets a little complex, right? So for United and Air Canada, you can absolutely, you log in and you transfer your miles to us, $0. It goes into the account and we book the flights. And I'll say for United, it's campaigns during certain times of the year, right? So that functions, and we'll focus on kind of the United side. That functions, say, at Christmas and then in the spring. Other than that, you can pledge your miles to us, okay? So what does that mean? So that means, say I have 100,000 miles, you go to our website and you click the donate button, you can say, I'm going to pledge 100,000 American airline miles to you. What we do from those pledge miles is then when we have a flight that lines up to those, we'll reach out to you, Carrie, and we'll be like, hey, we got a flight. It's for this person to fly X. It lines up to your miles. Can you book that for us? And if you say, yep, that totally works, then we give you the information where to kind of, put the name in and email the family the ticket. Okay. We'll cover the taxes if you don't want to pay for the cash, right? We'll cover for that. Taxes are usually pretty minimal. So that's how we help with the other programs that are outside of United and Air Canada. What we want to do is we want to get more programs involved, right? Like we want to get the Southwest, the American Airlines, the Deltas on board to handle it just like United and Air Canada is, right? Transfer $0, goes to Give a Mile. We can book the flights and make those family flights happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes a bit, obviously, airlines, and there's like technology involved in the back end to set that up and stuff. That's what we're going to work on, and we want to get as many airlines on as possible so that whatever miles you have, you can participate in the Give a Mile program.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Chris, do
so
you have
cool.
any other?
Yeah, and
any
sorry,
other questions?
There's one other thing. One other thing I'll add there too. You can donate cash. We are a registered charity in the U.S., Canada. About 10 to 12% of our flights are cash. And the reason that is because we're flying from a rural area or some place where a major airline doesn't go, or there's maybe not seats available, right? We have a lot of last minute flights. And then also sometimes it just doesn't make sense from a mileage usage perspective, right? Especially if you're flying internationally, you look at it and you're like, oh, it's $1,000 to buy it, but it would take us $2,000 worth of travel miles. So we'll just buy that in cash. So cash helps us. And for cash, we can't do it on miles yet, but for cash, we'll give you a tax receipt for sure for your donations.
That is awesome. There's no reason that JetBlue, Avella, everybody should be in on this thing.
It's such an incredible thing if you think of the power of the loyalty of those programs. That's what you're trying to create through those programs, right? You want loyal customers, you want people that are going to choose you because of the power of your program. And obviously this can be part of it to make that even a better value statement.
Yeah, and let's be honest, some of them, they need a little PR right now.
I know.
I was going to say the same thing. They could use a little good PR in that world.
They could use a little bit of good PR right now.
It's been a tough few months, man, and we're here. We'd love to give them some good PR,
Right. How can folks get in touch with you?
Yeah, for sure. So like we said, go to giveamile.org and the website's there and you can contact us through there. If you're looking for a flight, please email us at info@giveamile.org and we'll get you through the process and we'll show you the application form and stuff. We're here to help. You can also follow us on Instagram at giveamile. You can follow us on Facebook and you can follow us at Twitter at giveamile as well. You can follow me on TikTok at Kevin Stewart Crowe, that's Stuart. And we'd love to hear from you. TikTok's been an amazing platform. It's really helped us get the word out. And I think it was a huge part, obviously, with Nurse Julie and Nurse Penny through the Christmas time to get 55 flights out. So be part of the community and help us spread the word.
I would suggest, I went to the website. I would just suggest if you're listening right now, go to the website and read those stories.
Oh, yeah.
The flight stories.
I have the chills right now when you said it because I read one earlier.
I read a couple and I miss my kids more now because they're in California and I'm in Washington, but they are amazing. You do amazing work. You're helping people, like you said, have time. And that's something most people don't even
It's priceless.
have. Yeah.
No, it's priceless. I'm thinking about when I was caring for my dad when he was at the end of his life and I was away from my kids for 3 weeks. My kids were on their own. And then my dad was actively dying, and I was able to fly my son up, but I had to leave my girls home, you know, and then they all came. And I just think, you know, I was a struggling single mom. There's no way I could have gotten them up to see their grandpa, who has been a surrogate dad for them.
Absolutely. And we hear so many of those stories. We hear so many of those stories. Right? Yeah. And especially with the way inflation is and the cost of living right now, we know it's been extra hard on the families. And I know, you know, one flight I gave away, it was for a daughter and a granddaughter to go see her mother. And she said to me, Kev, if you showed up with a suitcase full of $5 million right now, it would mean nothing to me. I only have a few weeks left to live. The only thing I want to do is see my daughter and my granddaughter. Like, this is my lottery ticket, right? Like, this is the best lottery ticket I could get. Yeah.
I got through this without crying, Kevin. Knock it off.
Okay. All right.
I muted mine on purpose.
Yeah. Well, I adore what you're doing.
Thank you.
I love it. I will continue to. I will do better at sharing. I wanted to talk to you first, and Chris will do an amazing promo for us, and we will definitely promote you on. I'll do it on the Care Project site as well as my personal site, and then Chris manages carriemadrid.com, so I'll have him add that to my favorites. I'm like Oprah's favorites. I have a Carrie's favorites.
That's beautiful.
And then now, as a death doula, you know, obviously I work very closely with those that are preparing to die, and so I'm sure that it'll come up. I also sit on the community advisory board at my local hospital, and I plan to meet with hospice over there to talk to them. So being able to give another resource there as well.
Yeah, because I
business travelers.
That's perfect. You know, one of the things, you know, in your work, you obviously, the things that frustrate you, and I'll tell you the thing that frustrates me most about Give a Mile is when I tell people about it, a lot of times I'll hear, if I only knew about this 6 months ago when my dad was dying, why haven't I heard about this program, right? We could have used it. So please help spread the word, and any people that come through your podcast or through your websites, please let us know that you got connected via Carrie, so that we know, because we want to understand how the outreach is working and how we're getting connected to people.
Thank you so much. We will, I know I'm wrung out right now.
Kevin, you rock. You did something that was so obvious. I shouldn't say so obvious, but something that was there that didn't know needed a purpose, and you're making it for good. And that's amazing. I mean,
thank you so much. And thank you for helping us spread the word.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Keep going and take care.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond. Please let us know what you think of the show by leaving a rating and review. And don't forget to share it with a friend. For more information or to connect with Carrie, go to thecareprojectinc.org.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.